This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Welcome to Friday on the After Party Live, and it is Aloha Friday. I have a little aloha, have a little pina colada, mai tai, what have you, and relax into it. We have Tim Sika on the show talking about movies. We'll get to that in just a moment. I do want to go over a contribution from Scott Rittenberg, who kicks in $31 and says, "Happy day, love me some Tim Sika." I love me some Tim Sika too, so I'm happy to be with him, talk about movies in just a moment. Some comments that thank you for the contribution. Some comments that I did saw. Ren's in the car. She says, "Hey, all glad to be here from the car on a rainy day." Yeah, it has been rainy. I don't know if you guys went out last night and tried to see the red blood worm moon. I made Mark go outside last night at about 11:30 and look, and at first he couldn't see it, and then he did, and he sent me this picture, and you can see this little tiny red ball in the sky. Jacob wanted me to wake him up, so I woke him up at about 11:30. We went outside. Nothing. Got in the car, drove to a nearby hilltop. Nothing. Just too cloudy, overcast because, as mentioned, the rain coming in. So yeah, we didn't see it, but I hope you guys saw it. If you did, please send me the message and the picture. Kim at the afterparty.live is the best way to reach me. Again, Kim at the afterparty.live. I'd love to see a picture if you got one, because that's about the only way I'm going to see it. And apparently it's not supposed to happen again for another 40 years. So let's get right to it. I know you guys are excited, as am I. It is time for At the Movies with Tim Sika. Welcome to the After Party Live. Tim Sika, yes.
Hi, Kim. God,
Hi.
I always feel uncomfortable with these grand introductions that you always give me, but I'm grateful for them nonetheless.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved. What's up this week? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Watching a lot of stuff.
Good.
Same old. Yeah. Lots of interesting movies to talk about this week, and a really interesting streaming series on Netflix. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about it. But we'll leave that till just a little later.
Okay. Well, what's the first one you want to start with today?
Okay, there a movie called Novocaine, right? Yeah, this is a semi-interesting, semi-successful, but ultimately disposable little movie. It's a wild action comedy. It stars Jack Quaid of The Boys, the satirical superhero streaming series, as he plays this sheltered bank executive unable to feel pain. He's afflicted with this real-life disorder. It's called CIP. That's short for congenital insensitivity to pain. And so, yeah, he can't feel pain, which can be an obvious problem because, as we all know, feeling physical pain is vital for our survival. Pain's a signal that something's wrong with our body, like when we get burned, for example. Anyway, so that's an interesting premise for a kind of twisted action comedy. And if you've seen the trailer, and, boy, if you go to the movies or watch TV, you have seen this trailer. You know that this mild-mannered, bank executive becomes involved due to a violent bank heist at the bank branch where he's the assistant manager, with a lot of nasty, amoral people who like to kill other people and brutally torture other people to get what they want. And so this sort of sets the stage for this series of scenes and incidents where the Jack Quaid character, that's him in the poster. It's actually kind of funny. He goes through all kinds of physical beatings and tortures, but he doesn't feel any of the pain, right? And of course, these are all meant to be funny, and occasionally they are. But in an hour and 50 minutes, they and the plot beats just become repetitive. In other words, this movie's based on a one joke premise that at the film's length becomes kind of tiresome after a while. In other words, This might have made a really tight, fun movie at like 83 minutes or something instead of 110 minutes. But it starts out great. It switches its tone from poignant, because there's also this romance going on in the background. It switches its tone from poignant to suddenly scary, violent, very effectively. But then it just kind of runs out of gas, in my opinion. Jack Quaid is great. I think he is the son of Dennis Quaid, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's great. With this role, he finds his kind of sweet spot as an actor, as a comic actor. He's very charming. He's very funny. He makes the deficiencies of the script almost bearable. So there's that. But bottom line, if you're looking for something diverting, also kind of clever, or if you enjoy gross out comic violence, this may be the movie for you. I found it tiresome after a while, but on the basis of it being just a diverting entertainment, I recommend it to anybody who just wants something to distract them from, life's woes, or from whatever it is that they wish to be distracted,
Okay.
So yeah.
Sometimes that's the point of a movie, right? Just to divert you for a while.
Yeah, just for a while. But man, is it forgettable, this movie.
Oh, forgettable. Let me write that down. Forgettable. Okay. The next one, I don't know if this is streaming, or would you call this one of your main movies? This is called Odessa, and it's on Hulu.
Yes. I don't know. Well, I mean, they should have released this to theaters, this movie. But yeah, it's going to be on Hulu next week. It's another musical. It's one of several musicals we're getting these days from filmmakers. It's more of a folk opera that's sort of being marketed as a rock opera, but for our intents and purposes here, let's just say it's a musical. It's a post-apocalyptic musical drama.
Oh.
Yeah, but boy, I'll tell you, many of the movies these days, but are they ever clear about what they want us to think about and pay attention to? Anyway, it's written and directed, and the songs are composed by Jeremy Jasper, and it's basically the female version of Joseph Campbell's A Hero's Journey. It's a story that involves a hero who goes on an adventure and comes away from that adventure changed or transformed, and usually for the better. And this is a very good movie. I was pleasantly surprised. I say this a lot, Kim, on your show, but I do love musicals, so I tend to be very critical of them as a rule. I don't know where else the musical form can go anymore, or where that form can take audiences. Admirable efforts are being made with films like The End and Amelia Perez, but where this musical stands out, first of all, it's a great looking film. The production design is amazing. If there's going to be an apocalyptic world change, an apocalypse aftermath, dollars to donuts, it would look very close to what we see in this movie. So that's kind of interesting. But of all the movies being made today about the possibility of an apocalypse, this one feels, it's weird. It feels the truest. There's something on it, so to speak, that distinguishes it from the rest. And to my mind, it's not only the look, but the actual score. This movie relies very, very heavily on its score, on its songs, on its music. My big beef with pop songs, we may have talked about this before, but my big beef with pop songs and musicals being written today is that all these pop songs and all these songs being written for musicals all sound to me, well, and I think you can prove this too if you have a piano at hand, but they sound indistinguishable from one another. But the songs here in Odessa, they're really, really good, are in what I maintain is a kind of classical tradition of a good song, what makes a good song. They're very solid songs. They're solid numbers, which not only further the plot of this movie, but that stand on their own as separate compositions. And that's rare. You don't see that anymore these days. There's a song in this movie called Love Is All that if it doesn't win next year's Academy Award for Best Song, it's just going to further proof that the Academy wouldn't know a good song if it bit him in the behind. Anyway, but back to the movie. It's got a great score. An excellent cast headed by Sarah Sink, who's in the poster there in the title role. It's also relevant. I mean, this is what's going on in this movie. We have a numbed population whose only source of information is a state-run and controlled reality TV show hosted by a fascist figurehead. And in the movie's prologue, it states, that the world's a mess, it's been poisoned. And with nowhere else to turn, its people have fallen under the control of a mesmerizing figure played by Murray Bartlett of HBO's The White Lotus. And as long as this mesmerizing figure holds their attention, hope is elusive. What does that remind you of? Anyway, and even though this movie has the unsettling feel of prescience about it, it basically takes the romantic view that the world is going to be saved by song and by love. And I love that. So, and I love this movie. Yeah, it streams on Hulu, I believe, as of this coming or next. Yeah, next Thursday, March 20th. And it's an excellent movie. What can I say? Really good. Such a surprise. I kind of dreaded going into this one because I thought, oh God, here we go again. This is another one of those musicals, and it wasn't. Yep. It really distinguished itself. The songs are terrific. And the performances are good, and the production, everything about this movie was top notch.
I love it when you go to a movie and you're surprised like that. When you sit down and you really don't know what's coming, and then it's wow.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just kept getting more and more interesting as it went along. And just ignore that phone ringing in the background. I forgot to mute it. So
I don't know if you can reviews. How can I help you?
How can I help you?
Sika.
Yeah, I have another line and I forgot. I usually remember to mute it, but I'm kind of in a tizzy today. So anyway, Odessa, it's really, really good, and it's on Hulu. So if you got Hulu, you can check it out at home.
Awesome. All right. The next one is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah.
And I will preface this by saying Michael Snyder really liked this movie.
I did too. Yeah. Porky Pig and Daffy Duck star in this big screen Warner Brothers it's a salute of sorts to their classic movie cartoons of the 30s, 40s, and 50s starring Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. And the movie's silly premise is that Daffy and Porky, they learn that the world population is being infected by an alien mind control chewing gum called Goody Gum that is turning the world's population all into zombies. So it's a zombie movie. Okay. This strange evil overlord is putting goo in this Goody Gum that does something crazy to people's brains before they turn into a zombie. And Porky Pig and Daffy Duck have to figure out and ask themselves the question, how do they undo the chew? I think that's funny. Anyway, so yeah, this is a critic-proof cartoon that I'm sure kids will like. I think Gen Zers will love this, but I also think like baby boomers and Gen X generations will also love this because it's very faithful to the wacky sensibility of the classic Warner Brothers cartoons, while at the same time it embraces current pop culture goings on, like, influencers and cell phones and social media and conspiracy theories and all that. So they've successfully updated these characters, but have also captured what made them so popular and funny and appealing in the first place. It's a very funny movie. Many of Porky and Daffy's personality traits have been amped up in this feature film. Daffy, for one, is really loony. I mean, he is Daffy Duck on crack in this movie. I mean, which is really funny. There's a song here called "The End of the World as We Know It," and I feel fine.
That's an REM song, right?
Yeah, but it's the way it's used here it's a hoot. And at times, because we're going here from characters whose craziness was contained in a 6 or 7 minute cartoon. At times, these characters stretch to the feature that The Day the Earth Blew Up is. You get a little wearying, but there's so much manic creativity going on in this movie that really, who cares? It's still a funny, wild, and wacky movie. 11 writers are credited on this movie. Holy Hannah. Probably due to the fact that there are so many individual comic set pieces. They probably, got all these writers together in the room, and everybody came up with such great ideas. They had to include them all and credit all these writers. Anyway, I recommend this movie for the entire family. If you're an adult, you'll like it. I think if you're a kid, you'll like it. I really liked it as well.
Awesome. All right. The next one is called Black Bag.
Black Bag. Oh, perhaps the best of the bunch this week. Although that would be a toss-up, I guess, between this and Odessa. But Black Bag. It's directed by the prolific Steven Soderbergh, and it's written by David Kopp. It's a tight, lean, and very mean espionage drama, kind of spy thriller that stars Kate Blanchett with the sunglasses there, and Michael Fassbender also wearing the sunglasses in the poster as intelligent agents. They're husband and wife, and the premise is that the wife of this married couple, played by Blanchett, is suspected of treason, and so her husband, played by Fassbender, is assigned to investigate her. So what's this guy to do, right? What's the spy married to a spy do? Be faithful to his marriage or loyal to his country? And that's just the first 10 minutes. All of this is actually established in the first 5 minutes. And the less said about the rest of this movie, the better. This is a movie, Kim, that could be used as a model for storytelling in a film class. And that model is that this is an example of how to tell a story with absolutely no fat on it. This movie clocks in at something like 93 minutes, but it tells its story masterfully in that brief time, where, say, another filmmaker would or could only tell in maybe 2 hours. But it's all told in this condensed time period of like 90 minutes. The craft is impeccable. Soderbergh once again proves that he's a master at craft. The script is excellent. It's taut, it's involving, it keeps you second guessing. It kind of reminded me of an Agatha Christie novel, in that, you're always wondering, well, in her novels, it was always, well, who was the murderer? Who was the person that did it? But in Black Bag, it's, well, who's the traitor here? And you're constantly being thrown off guard. I also love the depiction of this marriage between spies. How the hell does that work? Spies trust nobody. So if you're a spy married to a spy, what is that? Anyway, yeah, this is, not that I'm listening to myself say that, this is the best movie of the week. It's an adult picture, superbly made, superbly paced, superbly acted, superbly directed, and I just convinced myself to go check it out again this week. I think I'm gonna go see it again. Yeah, Black Bag is in theaters now, and it's fantastic. It's terrific.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this movie. I love that you and Michael Snyder both love it. So yeah,
apparently, this is one of the few times I'm on board with the rest of the critics who are praising this movie. There's nothing in it that's a wrong note. It's just pitch perfect. The relationship between Cate Blanchett and Fassbender it's sexy too. This movie's sexy, and it shouldn't be sexy, but it is. It's a very sexy movie. We don't really quote unquote see much, but the interplay, the interaction, it functions on all these different kinds of levels. But just as a rattling good entertainment of a movie, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you guessing, and when it's over, you go, wow. So yeah.
So you mentioned how lean the story is, and how everything there is with a purpose, and how it's a masterfully told story.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the script, or I wonder if it happened in the editing room. You wonder
Probably
how that came to be.
Good question. Yeah, I've not seen any iterations of the script, but David Kopp, who wrote the script, he's an excellent screenwriter. He's written some of the Mission Impossible movies. He wrote Jurassic Park, and a whole bunch of other movies. I think one of the Raiders of the Lost Ark movies. He's a really fine screenwriter. I don't know. I wonder if it was all written down and then Soderbergh said, hey, we can just film this, or if they did do a little tinkering in the editing. It was probably a bit of both, but I think it's a great script. So I'm going to credit the script here as probably being the winning element of this movie.
I'm reminded of something that I was told early on in my news career, and that is the statement, brevity is your friend.
Yeah. Well, what did Shakespeare say? Brevity is the soul of wit.
Oh, yes. Is that right?
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with that. In fact, I think that's one of the hardest things to even do as a writer, to be like pithy and to say in as short a period of time as you can. Sometimes you have to go on and on, but to say in the show, that's what I love. I loved doing, harkening back to the past here, I loved doing Ron Owen's show, because for something like 14 years, he had me on. I think I was on for 3 minutes, and I talked about DVD releases. But sometimes I could get in 4 or 5 movies in less than 3 minutes. Now
Yeah,
that's,
you have
but
to, and that's
you,
pretty good.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's okay anyway. But now I'm going backwards. So because you're letting me go backwards.
I let you. I just want to hear it all.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
when back in my day, you
Back
used
in
to
my
get
day, yeah.
about 3 minutes for a reporter doing a TV package story.
Yeah,
And on radio, with you don't have the video, you have to paint the picture with your words. They would give you
right,
50 seconds.
right,
So
right.
sometimes it was like I would write it quickly, write it briefly,
Yes,
and
yes,
sometimes I couldn't quite make it, and I had to go back and take the knife to my story and edit myself, with
yeah,
so it was
yeah.
just kind of one of those things. So I'm interested in the way they told the story and the way they did it for those reasons to see how their process was. But that's cool. All right.
Yeah, I used to work in PR before I got into film, and that's kind of where I learned to do that. I remember we would have to do like radio
Mhm.
PSAs and just PSAs in general. And what I would do, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I would write some copy and then I would time it with a
Yeah.
stopwatch. And
Yeah.
if it made it, and I would actually get it actually down to the second, but that took a lot of work. It wasn't easy. I tend to be very verbose, and I love yakking on. And but so for me, and I had a column in I never studied journalism, but I was given a column when I was in high school, and then in college I wrote reviews for my respective
Sure.
papers, and they let me just write whatever I wanted to write, and they never cut anything.
Oh,
So I
wow.
kind of learned it ass backwards. I
Yeah.
started out being able, and I wish that I had done it the other way, but anyway, yeah. So
I learned to make it conversational, to speak in partial sentences and fragments and leave a lot
yes,
of connecting words like and or but. You just leave them out because there's no time.
yes,
When you're
yeah.
looking at actual word content,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I
Yes. Yes.
digress. Let's
Yeah.
move
No.
on.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
say, as for your streaming option of the week, this you recommend. It's called Adolescence and it's on Netflix.
Oh my God, Kim. Oh my God. Adolescence. It's a 4-part British. I guess you would call it a crime thriller, a crime drama.
No, not
It's
what I thought you
about.
were saying.
It is about a 13-year-old boy who's in the photo there in the poster, who is accused of stabbing to death a female classmate with a kitchen knife.
Oh God.
Okay, so here I go with hyperbole, but I kind of can't help it. This is, well, I cannot remember, Kim, when I have been so taken, so absorbed, so wrapped up in, and so totally under the spell of a movie or a television series or what have you, as I have been with Adolescence. Number one, this is, again, we're talking about storytelling. This is one of the best examples of powerful and compelling storytelling that I have ever seen in my whole career as a film critic. I,
Wow.
I sat down to watch this. It dropped on Netflix just yesterday, and the power of the piece was so compelling that it just blew me away. I sat there mesmerized to the point where I just couldn't stop watching. And before I knew it, I had gotten through the whole series. What else can I say? It's breathtaking. It's brilliant. It's disturbing in the best possible way. Kim, I like to talk about, I mean, been doing it on the show this week. I like to talk about craft a lot. I
Mhm.
notice craft a lot in movies, how the director tells his or her story, what camera angles they use, where they place the camera and all that. And this series is an example of impeccable filmmaking craft. But by the third installment, I became so lost and so engrossed in this world of adolescence that I completely forgot about the craft because I got consumed by the story.
Mhm.
And the storytelling became so strong that I just forgot about it. Now, that is masterful. When you can do that to somebody who watches movies constantly, thinks he or she has seen everything, and you forget that you're supposed to be paying attention to that, that is masterful. And oh my God, this is just unbelievably great, this under 4 hour series. It's also a thriller. It's a mystery. It's several character studies all at the same time. It's a crime procedural. It's an observational study of cyber bullying and incel culture, of our
Oh,
educational system, of parenting, of friendship, teenage sexuality, that it's subtle. In other words, the messaging, there's a lot of messaging in here, but for the most part, it's subtextual. The writing is nuanced. Everybody listening or watching here, if you have Netflix and you're still listening and watching, just stop what you're doing if you can, or as soon as you can, check out Adolescence. It's amazing. And it'll haunt you in the best way possible. This is one of the most amazing, incredible, brilliantly written and acted movies I've seen in decades. Oh, one other mention here too, Kim. The boy who plays Jamie Miller, the one arrested on
mhm.
suspicion of murder. He's played by this young actor. I think this is his first movie. His name is Owen Cooper. And watch out for this kid. He is unbelievably, it's like a 13-year-old going on a 45-year-old. He's unbelievably incredible, supremely acts beyond his years, and he deserves multiple awards at the end of the year for his performance.
Wow.
This is a breathtaking show. Just anything
I
I
don't
say
think
is
I've
going to
ever
sound
heard you give such compliments to a show or a movie before.
I don't remember ever getting this many
Wow. Okay.
compliments either, but it's an incredible series. And really, if you start it, make sure you have like 3 more hours to finish it, because it's going to drive you nuts if you can't watch the whole thing all in one sitting. It's amazing.
Is it a series that they could renew, or is it once they tell the story, that's it and it's over?
Yeah, no, it's a complete, 4-part. There, the running times are like between 45 and maybe 55 minutes. So it's under 4 hours. I'd say it's about total 3 hours and 45 minutes. So it's just like watching an epic movie, only it's, oh my God. Oh God. I'll tell you, I watched this too. I thought, my God, I'm glad I got out of teaching when I did. And that won't make much sense to people who haven't seen this series yet, but the edge. Oh yeah. I'm glad I got out of teaching when I did. Oh God.
For those of us with teenagers, 11, 15, right?
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think, oh, what's going on in their world?
Exactly. And you know what else is interesting? It shows too how, even though the internet has like improved kind of communication in a way, it's in a lot of ways it's made it more difficult between like, people my age or your age,
right,
to communicate with kids who are using a language that oftentimes we don't even get, like emojis and all this stuff. We don't even understand necessarily what they mean. I mean, this movie goes into all of that. Oh God, and as a parent, I don't know what you let your kids see, but if I was a parent and I had kids, I would say 12, 13 or older, I would not insist, but I would recommend they watch this, but I would watch it with them and talk about it after, because it's amazing. Amazing.
And that's Adolescence, and I think we all have it on our list after that recommendation. Tim Sika's classic movie of the week for this week is Dr.
Yay! Yeah. Last week we recommended The Sound of Music as our classic movie, which also came out the year this movie was released, 1965. And this movie too, like The Sound of Music, is having its 60th anniversary celebration this year. And I think it's going to get lost in the celebration. I mean, I don't know, for some reason this movie doesn't get talked about a lot today. And the movie is David Lean's Dr. Zhivago, which I have seen more times than I will ever publicly admit. So it's primarily, have you seen it, Kim?
No.
Oh my God.
It came out way before I was born, so I don't.
I know, but it's it's all over and it's prime. The reason I'm going, oh my God, primarily it's a love story, right? Set against the epic backdrop of history. In this case, the Russian Revolution of 1917. Omar Sharif, there he is there on the right, plays the title character. He plays a physician and poet, Yuri Zhivago, who marries his childhood sweetheart, but several times during World War I, he crosses paths with the the beautiful Lara, which there she is there next to him, played by Julie Christie, and the two fall into a passionate affair that is disrupted by the Bolshevik Revolution. Yeah, the Robert Bolt screenplay may be a bit choppy. A lot of the times you're going, what just happened and why? I still don't know what happened to Lara's daughter, Katya, in this movie. and if you're unfamiliar with Russian history, you may have a little difficult time trying to figure out, who the Bolsheviks were, what the differences between the White Guards and the Red Guards are. But in the final analysis, I never cared. This is classic David Lean. It's sumptuously filmed. It's gorgeously filmed. It's won 6 Academy Awards back in 1965. It was a massive box office hit that did not go down too well with critics, if I recall, at the time of its release 60 years ago. I saw it later, too, because I'm not that old. But I think it's aged remarkably well. And there's a soundtrack score. I know if you heard the theme, you wouldn't recognize it, by French composer Maurice Jarre. The Lara's theme, it's called, which became a huge top 40 hit song called Somewhere My Love. I mean, come on, augmented by infidelity, a passionate romance, tumultuous history unfolding in the background. What's not to like? And what more could you ask for in a movie? It's all here in Dr. Zhivago. I love this movie. Check it out, folks, if you haven't already.
1965.
Yeah.
It came out.
Yeah. I love all these pictures that you're showing. These are all evocative of the story. Oh yeah, and Rod Steiger.
Just this, it makes you cold cold just looking at this picture.
It's so funny that you said that, because I saw this as the first time when I was like 5 or 6, but I remember it made me, I watched it on television, and I remember it made me feel cold. I had to put on a sweater. I'm not kidding. And I would joke in later years with friends saying, doesn't that movie make you feel freezing? Because so much of it depicts the Russian winters, which are crippling. I mean, they are so cold. And there's a great scene where Zhivago, he goes AWOL and he leaves his company, and he makes this long trek through the Russian desert. And basically almost freezes to death. He doesn't, but anyway, you watch that alone and you just feel freezing. You want to put on a jacket if you're watching this movie.
I have one more picture that I want to show you of this before we move on, because it kind of depicts what you're talking about. Check out this. This is a picture of ice from this movie, and it just looks so miserable. I mean,
yeah,
bundle up in your giant fur hat like you see here, but look at that.
Oh yeah. There's a great story we won't go into, but there's a great story about how they achieved that effect and what they had to do production wise to make that house look like that. Yeah, that's it. That's cold. That's this movie. Yeah,
it's very, very chilly. And that is Dr. Zhivago. Okay, so we'll recap it, Tim Sika.
Okay.
You say Novocaine, let me get that picture up. Novocaine, you said it's based on a one-joke premise, and that joke gets repeated way too much. It runs you kind of ran out of gas for you, despite the actor's great performance, Jack Quaid. You said it's kind of clever, a little bit of a gross out. You found it tiresome. You say it's kind of forgettable, yet you recommend it as if only for a diversion.
Yes.
Yeah. Odessa, you were surprised by how much you really liked this musical. You said the music is really good, solid musical numbers. You said Love Is All, one of the musical numbers from this, should win Best Oscar next year. Excellent cast, politically relevant. You love this movie, and next week it'll be streaming on Hulu.
Yes.
You also really liked this one, and it is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. You said it's a zombie movie for the whole family. It's, of course, an animated movie with Daffy Duck and Porky Pig and Looney Tunes characters. And you said this is great, and you really enjoyed it as well. Another one, and you said this might be the best one of the week, is called Black Bag. Tight, lean espionage drama. They really knew how to tell the story. You said it's masterfully told. It's involving. It keeps you guessing, keeps you asking, who's the traitor? It's, you say, the best movie of the week, acting, directing, everything. You loved it. Black bag.
And I did not figure out who the traitor was. I was surprised when I found
Oh,
out who the traitor was. Anyway, yeah.
okay. This next one, I've never heard you
Oh,
give such a glowing review. This is a series streaming on Netflix called Adolescence. It's a crime thriller. You said it's a mystery. It's a character study. You were under the spell of this series from the get-go. You said it's powerfully compellingly told story. It blew you away. You were mesmerized. You said it's unbelievably great. And that this boy, played by actor Owen Cooper, is on the rise as a star. And so
yes. Yeah.
Adolescence, you give it as all the fingers up, but not just the thumbs.
Yeah. All 10 of my fingers. Yes.
Absolutely. Dr. Zhivago, your streaming rec of the week, from 1965. You say this is worth seeing. It made you feel cold. You have seen this movie more times than you'd like to admit. And if you haven't seen it, or even if you have, you can find it likely online. I don't know. We didn't look up where it's playing, but you could probably look it up and find it. Dr. Zhivago is the streaming recommendation of the week. Tim Sika, you've done it once again.
Excellent summation as always, Kim McAllister. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Have the very best weekend. And I loved having you on the show. We'll see you next Friday, my friend.
See you next Friday, Kim. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
At the movies with Tim Sika, everybody. I love having him on. He is so much fun. I will be going now to the chat to see what you guys are saying. And I was having a hard time getting all the pictures up, but also looking at the chat. So I'll be looking at your comments for the first time now. Mo says, Dr. Z, if you need a deep sleep, watch it. Why? Did it make you tired and sleepy? I don't know. Omar Sharif, says Teacher Lori, be still my heart. That's what she says. Excellent, epic movie, visually stunning, says Karen Cooper. Rhonda saw this one over Christmas, so maybe, yeah, do it again. Let's see. How is it different from, TV news? Talking about, yeah, writing radio news versus TV news. Absolutely. Let's see. Rhonda says she could feel the chemistry between them in the movie. And are you talking about Dr. Zhivago, or between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, talking about spy movies and being married spies? Yeah. Well, apparently Tim says the marriage in this movie, Black Bag, is pretty sexy. I think he used the word sexy. So yeah, very cool. Well, thanks to Tim Sika for coming on the show, and thank you to you for all the comments today. Really appreciate all of that. Yeah, a big thanks from Tammy as well. And again, thank you to Scott Rittenberg, who popped in with $30 and says, happy day. Love me some Tim Sika. Always appreciate that. $5 came in from Wes as well today. You can find the PayPal link in the show description and in the About tab for the After Party Live here on YouTube. All right, I do want to get to one of the big stories that I had for you today, which is about this titanium heart. Check this out. You want that thing in your chest? Well, I mean, if it's a live or die kind of moment, I guess put in the machinery, right? Yeah. So this is now in a human being. A man has left the hospital with a titanium heart. This bivacor implant worked for 105 days while this man who had it in his chest, pumping blood around his body, waited for a human transplant. So it's kind of like a placeholder. But yeah, it looks like something out of a comic book, doesn't it? It is a functioning titanium heart intended as a replacement for human donor organs. They first used it last year as what they say as a stopgap for people that are awaiting transplants. I mean, sometimes you just don't have enough time to wait before, your life is going to be over. If you just had a few more days, a couple more months, then maybe your turn would come. And that is offering hope for some people that just need the gift of time. The creators of this, they say this invention marked a milestone. This man surviving for more than 100 days with a bivacor implant. He was even temporarily discharged from the hospital with this pumping blood inside of him. So interesting. It's been in the works for more than 25 years. Originally, they had designed kind of a prototype with hardware store pipes and valves. In the end, it was taken over by a medical company, and now it works without any actual valves. It relies on a single moving part. It's a magnetically rotating or levitating rotor that spins between two chambers, and it never comes into contact with the titanium frame itself. And that allows it to cut out the risk of corrosion or malfunction type of issues. This titanium heart weighs less than 1.5 pounds. It is powered by an external battery located in the patient's abdomen. It's small enough to fit inside a man or a woman or children as young as 12 years old. And apparently, it can support an adult while that person is doing strenuous exercise. Just wow. Last year, doctors in the United States and Australia successfully installed this pump about the size of a fist, you can see there from the picture, in about 5 patients. One of them, a man in his 40s dealing with severe heart failure, could only manage to walk a few feet before losing his breath. But after a 6-hour procedure to put this in, he gained enough strength and mobility to leave the hospital until a donor heart became available. He returned to receive his human transplant and is now recovering. So, this is not commercially available yet, but there are other devices that are being readied for use. So maybe in the future, these titanium hearts might not just be temporary, but perhaps long-term, even permanent. We already have titanium hips, right? Titanium pins used to repair bones. Why not a titanium heart? Fascinating. I mean, you would think the risk of rejection for something like this would be huge, but they say it works. And right now, again, in this test, this man survived for 105 days before he went back in and got a human heart. So that's your titanium heart story. Cindy comes in with $10, says, "Thank you for your relaxing show and science info, keeping me sane while stuck at home, slowly but surely, recovering from an ankle injury." Oh no! Do you have a titanium pin in your ankle? Cindy, I'm so sorry you're hurt, but I'm glad you're recovering, and I'm glad that I can help you pass the time. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's move to, I know this is really creepy, you guys, but I'm fascinated by the creep, okay? The folks involved in this had a mummy in their garage. Yeah. A dead human, mummified in the garage. These are human traffickers, and this is so creepy. This is a medieval mummy. You can kind of see the feet here. And it was found in the home of an accused smuggler. It happened in Turkey, where they've been trying to fight the black market artifact industry for a really long time. 6 people were detained in this after this mummy, this medieval mummy, was found in the garage of a home. Apparently, it was destined for sale on the black market. The Provincial Gendarmerie Command's Anti-Smuggling and Organized Crime Division was part of an effort to fight international artifact trafficking. People are selling thousands of archaeological relics that they took illegally from areas in Turkey. I have another picture of this. Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine keeping that in your garage? Gross. The police say smugglers have long targeted Turkey because it has cultural and historical significance. spanning multiple civilizations over thousands of years. There's a lot there. And while they say artifact theft is an ongoing issue, the Turkish government has spent a long time working to repatriate thousands of stolen artifacts and personal remains. As a matter of fact, earlier this month, they seized more than 26,000 historical artifacts and cultural assets, or they have since 1980, I should say. The worst offenders involve people from 18 countries: Germany, Croatia, Bulgaria, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Serbia. So a couple years ago, they did this raid called Operation Heritage, and they tracked down smugglers in all kinds of places. One truck alone had more than 17,000 artifacts that were on the way to a British auction house. So this focused on a single mummy, but the remains were stored in one of the homes of a suspect. They say not much is known about this mummy. They think this largely intact body dates to the Middle Ages. This person was likely a Christian, given the nature of its preservation. The mummy has its arms crossed, placed on a bed of sheets and ragged cardboard. Crazy. So after they found it, they transferred it to a museum for further analysis. Here's the thing: when they take these things, relics, mummies, what have you, the context that archaeologists would look at around how the person was found, where they were found, what was near them, what kind of structure or grave they were found in, all of that archaeological data is gone. And what remains is the mummy. And so now all of these questions. Yeah. There's another mummy at that museum that they're studying as well. So hopefully they get some information. But can you believe that? I mean, seriously, check it out in the garage, along with the old couch pillows and a patio chair. Don't worry about that. That's just the medieval mummy. It's all right. Look away. It's okay. Something sad to tell you, you guys. An update on our eaglet, our 3 eaglets. After a huge snowstorm at Big Bear, California, the live cam only shows 2 eaglets in the nest. I know. What happened to the third one? Potentially one was lost overnight. The Friends of Big Bear Valley posted on their site, only 2 eaglets can be seen in the nest. During the first feeding session of the day, only 2 chicks were visible. They say they can't see the entire nest bowl because the view is partially obstructed by snow. They say, "We are observers of nature. We do not know the entirety of the current situation." So it's kind of a bummer. Yeah. People are saying sometimes our emotions override our curiosity. It's okay to trust them when you need and make healthy decisions for yourself. But we do know last night there was a big old snowstorm, dumped 2 feet of snow in the San Bernardino Mountains. So Jackie, the mom, the mother eagle, could be seen sheltering the eaglets overnight as winds just shook down this nest. More snow could move in this afternoon as well. Temperatures there in the 40s and 50s expected over the weekend. So, and we knew this last week, right? Or earlier this week, that weather is one of the biggest threats. They were okay as far as their food source, but that the cold weather was one of the things that was threatening them: predators and weather. So perhaps that's what happened here. Or maybe we'll get lucky and one of the eaglets was just out of the shot for a second. We can hope. Anyway, kind of a sad update to that story, but fingers crossed. So let's end the show with a very happy story. How about that? Let's do that. This is a baby sloth born at a zoo in San Diego. And I'm telling you guys, baby sloths are extra adorable. So let's take a look at this sloth that gave birth and the baby sloth. I mean, here we go. It's the San Diego Zoo. It's an incredible zoo if you haven't been there. I'm not necessarily a fan of zoos, but I do love the San Diego Zoo. And look at the baby sloth. Oh, the cutest little nose, the cutest little eyes. Look at that. Absolutely adorable. Yeah. I mean, that's great news for a Friday afternoon, right? This is a healthy sloth pup at the San Diego Zoo. It's the first of its species to be born at this facility in a couple years now. The mother is 12-year-old Xena, already a mother to two, gave birth to this newborn last month. Uh, the sloth mothers, they say, are very in tune with the needs of their newborns. They will allow their pups to cling to their chest after birth, which you're seeing here, so that they can be cleaned off and that they can nurse. This Xena and her new pup will be spending time together over the next few months as this pup grows. Oh, look at that pup eating lettuce. So cute. The zoo said the pup might eventually join Xena during presentations at Wildlife Explorers Base Camp at the San Diego Zoo. So, I mean, baby sloths? Yes, please. How cute can that possibly be? I love it. Thanks, San Diego Zoo. Love it when they put out videos like this. Super, super cute. So, yeah, and we're lucky for being able to see it. You know what? Let's not end quite yet. I have one more story that I want to show you, and that is a story about the wildfires in Southern California and this cat that they thought was dead. They thought this cat was gone, and that was it. The cat's name is Aggie, and Aggie has been found and is now reunited with its owner after the wildfires. And I think I have some video to show you on this as well. Might get remonetized, but I think it's worth feeling good. We'll take a look at that. Here's the reunification of Aggie and her owner. Look at Aggie.
I've been sitting with her all day. Oh, you have? I have. She's the sweetest.
Yeah.
You want to hold her?
You're kidding.
Really sweet.
We'll take all the time you guys need, okay?
So 2 months they thought this cat was dead. 2 months after the Palisades fire in the Los Angeles area. Her owner is 82-year-old Catherine, and she never really gave up hope. And then she gets a call over the weekend from the West Los Angeles Animal Shelter, and her daughter takes her down to get the cat, and more than 1 million people have liked this video. Catherine has got tears in her eyes. Aggie finally is curled back up in her arms. This woman, Catherine, was at a medical appointment. I'll mute the story. The woman was at a medical appointment the day the fire happened, and her kids couldn't find Aggie. And Aggie is prone to hiding. She's like cats, as cats do, right? They hide. And that's what was happening. So when the rescue attempt for Aggie was going down, Aggie wasn't having it. She was hiding. One thing Catherine asked her kids, did you get Aggie? They didn't. Aggie is about 5. She was given to Catherine during the pandemic by a friend. And the family now has a $30,000 GoFundMe campaign for Aggie's vet bills that had topped $21,000. So a lot of people are contributing to this. The cat had to have a couple of blood transfusions. It's now seeing a specialist. It was so skinny. It was skin and bones. She had been starving wherever she was hiding. And so here we have it. Catherine has a message for other cat owners or caretakers. She said, don't ever underestimate cats. So Catherine and Aggie back together again. Aggie getting the medical care she needs, and a good story after such a devastating incident in that Palisades fire. Okay. I think that's a good way to end, don't you? I like it. Let's do that. Ren says, glad to be here from the car on a rainy day. Yeah, I think I had that already, but That's cool. Heather, congratulations in finishing up this monster project in your lab. Always feels good to finish something like that. Huge thank you to Scott Rittenberg for throwing down $30 today at the after party and sharing some love for Tim Sika. Really appreciate that. And your nice words on the Mark Thompson show as well. And Cindy with $10, and I hope your ankle feels better. And thank you for the contribution. Thank you also to Wes for the PayPal contribution today, and to everyone for participating in the show and stopping by. I hope you have a really good weekend. Stay dry. I'll see you on the Mark Thompson show on Monday, where Gary Dietrich will stop by the show. David Packman on the Mark Thompson show Monday as well. So please don't miss it. I'd love to have you along for that show too. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Really make it a good one. Enjoy Dr. Zhivago, stream Adolescence, whatever you need to do to make yourself warm and cozy and have a good weekend. And I'll see you next time here on YouTube. Bye, everyone.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Thank you, Mars. I appreciate it. Mars for 5. Woohoo! Also, I need to thank shadow producer Calvin Wong for the Aggie the Cat story. Thank you, Calvin.